Well, I tell you what, I'll make a little start. Thanks, guys, for everyone who's joined us. That's lovely. I've got lots I'd like to share with you today. I can get carried away really quickly, so I'm going to try and stick to a little plan. I wrote it all down on a big piece of paper. It's very, very formal, but hopefully the content isn't. I'm going to try and make it a little bit of fun, okay? Because fungi are fun. Genuinely, I don't have to do any work. They're amazing. But I think you guys might already have an idea about that, and that's why you're here today. So let's kick things off. I'll start with this. I've made this little, I don't really do screens and technology very well. And why do you need to? And you've got big bits of cardboard and wheels and things that turn. So let's start off. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. I will just introduce myself. My name's Ali, sometimes known as the FUNgi Guy. And I make, well, I love fungi. And it's a hobby and it's a passion of mine. And it drives my family mad because everywhere we go, all I ever do is look for mushrooms. So they won't even be watching. I'll tell you now, they're sick of it. But you are, and you're here. So I really care about it that much. I try and do things to help people learn about it because I think they're also really important. And I make little YouTube videos if you wanted to look up the Fungi Guy. I do still little videos. It's got puppets and music. Not much learning, but I try. So we'll cover some of those things today. Don't want to hear about me. Let's hear about the fungi. They're the proper stars. So look, a little question mark. What are these things? I'm going to discuss today. What are fungi? What jobs do they do? You might know some of this. For anyone who's seen my little machine before, don't worry, there's new things loaded into it. There's new things glued in there. We'll look at what fungi are, what roles they have. We'll meet some fungi. I've got some with me. We'll have a little game. I'd like to have a game against you guys. And yeah, try and give you some facts as we go along. So what are fungi? Let's have a look. They're a kingdom all of their own. That's an important thing to know. One thing that humans, we didn't realise they were a kingdom all of their own until the same year that we put men on the moon. Remember that. All right, but moving on. What is a mushroom? Okay, so mushroom, let me hold one up as if you don't know already. I've got a nice one here. What's a mushroom? Okay, this is the fruiting body of a fungus. You'll have heard that word a lot, fungus, mushroom, which is which. Well, this is just a little bit like the fruiting body. The fungus itself lives on underground, and I can demonstrate. But a quick word about what fungi are.
Is that a real one or not?
Fungus is the singular, it just means one. If you've got two, now I've got some fungi. I've got a fungus, I've got some fungi. Okay, it's a little one to clear up for you. That for the adults too, that one. Okay, let's have a little look. There's my fungus and fungi. I did it. Look, I'm on track.
Oh, you actually did it.
Fruit that I talked about. Okay, it's a little bit like, and I don't mean fruit to eat, but a little bit like an apple on a tree. This is just the fruiting body. This is designed for the fungus to release its seeds, which we call spores. I've got my first science word. No, I haven't. Ignore that. Just remember it. Okay. Release spores and make new ones. All living things want to do that. Flowers do it with their seeds and their beautiful parts. Apple trees do it with apples. And fungi do it by sending out mushrooms or other types of fungi out of the ground. Okay. Let's have a look. But this is what the fungus looks like underground. And do you know what? It's around us all the time. This stuff lives on underground all the time. It's a little bit like cotton wool. It's this incredibly tiny little network of very fine threads. And this is your first proper science word. Mycelium. It's mycelium. Is it back to front for you guys? I'm going to trust that it's not. Is it back to front? Yes for that. I'm going to keep going because there's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing on the back. The mycelium is this fluffy network underground, and that's the fungus here. When the time is right, conditions right, it'll send out its fruit, its fruiting body, which in this case is mushrooms or maybe other kinds of fungi fruit bodies. Okay. Do you know what? There's an amazing fact. I'm going to hit you with my first one. Where's my little thing? I've got here an oxo cube. That's not a fungus. But there's so much mycelium packed into this because this is like what represents it. I'm just trying to give you a visual aid. Mycelium's actually teeny tiny. You can't see it with the naked eye, but it's very, very small. There's 5 miles just in 1 cubic inch, like that. 5 miles. If that was real soil, there'd be 5 miles of mycelium in that, in a woodland forest floor. That's quite remarkable. Stuff like that. Let's move on. All right. Now then, we've talked about a mushroom being a fruit body, and we've got one here. But also, fungi can take lots of other different shapes. And I know some of you guys will have met these in the woods because we've got, oh, I love this stuff. We've got cups and we've got earth tongues and stars and corals and balls and brackets. And that's just even a few of them. And it's marvelous that fungi exist like this. And this is what makes it so exciting for me. I love to go and find these in the woods. They're so exciting. But fungi have some other jobs to do as well. There are fungi in our lives that aren't these. I'm going to focus mainly on these because that's my favourite bit. But it's important you know that we also have fungi in our lives in different ways. They can be medicines. They can also be this here. And if we look closely, this is yeast. And yeast is what makes our bread rise. And that's a fungus. Yeast is a fungus. So without that, we'd all have just flatbreads. And, you know, I love a chapati. Don't get me wrong. I love a wrap. But we need bread in our lives as well. Some of us. I love a loaf. And we wouldn't have it without that fungus, yeast. There's another fungus. This one's for the adults. Stinky blue cheese. The blue veins is a type of mold, but it's an edible fungus. Okay. Fungi are in our lives all the time. They're crucial to our existence. We wouldn't even be here without fungi, boys and girls. All right. Let's have a little look on. Okay. What's next? Oh, come on. Let's have a game now. Let's get you guys involved. Can you beat me? I play this game in different ways with different people. I've even done it with the mayor of Manchester, and he had the best time of his life, I think. I think there was a quote saying it's the best time he's ever had in his life. So you're in for a treat. Here we go. I'm going to hold up, you can play along at home. I'm going to hold up a mushroom name. Now, there's some wonderful names out there. King Alfred's Cakes and the Giant Puffball and all these wonderful, wonderful names. And I'm going to hold them up, and you have to guess whether or not it's a real fungus name or is it false? Is it true or false? So my first one, let's have a look. I'm going to give you a few seconds for each. Here's my first one. The mouse pea pinkgill. The mouse pea pinkgill. Is it true or false? So you show me with your thumbs. Good. Oh, I'm getting a lot of falses from what I can see. And the answer is true. It's a true fungus. The mouse pea pinkgill, and I'll be honest, I've never yet met it, and I can't wait for the day because I'd love to see if I can tell. Does really smell, apparently, of mouse pea. And again, I hope you're not one of those people who actually knows firsthand necessarily what that smells like. That's number one. Well, on that screen, that means I'm winning so far. The next one. Are you ready? Fungus number two. The shaggy nightgown. True or false? We've got family. Oh, it's a proper family debate there with the Arlos. There, I'll say, it's a full thumbs down. I've got someone with a thumb up. The answer is false. Okay, that was my wind up. It's not true. Oh, there's a big cheer. I wish I had sound because there's some big cheers going on. Brilliant. Next one. I've got 5 for you. Number 3. The vicar's nose puff. The vicar's nose puff. Someone's not having any of that. That young man's saying no way. Claire's camera in blue. He's saying no way with the cap. Brilliant. He looks very assertive. Oh, I've got some thumbs up. Is that going to divide the family? No, they're saying, oh, yes. And the young girls say no. That one is false. False. It's not a true one. But it's my favourite made-up one that I've ever made up. The vicar's nose puff. Next one. Are you ready for the lemon disco? Lemon disco. What do you think about that? He's saying yes. I've got a yes there. 3, 2, 1. The answer is true. It's a real one. Lemon disco. It's short for discomycete, and these little cups that you get on twigs that recycle. Fantastic. The lemon disco. And last of all, is anyone on a full scorer one day? It's a shame I can't see to know. I only have a handful of you on my screen. And the last of all, the cabbage parachute. True or false? Cabbage parachute. Am I making that up or is it a real thing? Right, unanimous. Everything I can see there's thumbs up. In which case, you would be right. It's true. The cabbage parachute is a real one. Well done, that young man there. Well done, the family on the red couch. Very, very good. In fact, I found that for the first time a few years ago, going on the wood chip at the Aldi at the bottom of my road. And it's there every year to greet me. Every year it has a little flush, real stinks of rotten cabbage. Fabulous. Okay, that was the game. Let's move on. What's next? What do fungi do? It's a big question, isn't it? I'll try and make this as simple as possible. But fungi are so important, which is why I think it's important we know about them. As I've said, they already help us provide us with our bread. They also foods, medicines, milk wouldn't be possible without a fungus that lives within the cow to make grass into milk. That's a good one to know. But paper, we wouldn't have paper, we wouldn't have wood, because fungi grow and they support all that is green. So like nearly all plants and trees have fungi hidden away growing with them. That mycelial network that I talk about, that mycelium. So they're essential to our living. No fungi, no forests, and no forests, no future. Okay, they are crucial to our existence. We wouldn't be here, boys and girls. But if I'm talking about these ones that I've got in my basket and that I've shown you pictures of, these fungi that you can actually find in the woods, that type, they have 3 roles. They do different jobs, the different fungi that you find. Mushrooms do one thing, but cups do another. I'll try and show you the 3 roles roughly that they do. Excuse me. So let's have a look. I've actually written it here. I daren't go on in case I've not. What's next? No, not ready for that. Whoo, a little sneak peek. You're not allowed. Go back. Just wind that back. Okay, first of all, we've got the friend. You've already actually met him. Here he is. This is a friend. So certain mushrooms only ever grow with trees, and they create a friendship. And that mycelium I talked about, if you could visualize it, the mycelium, the fungus, kind of holds hands like little friends with the roots of the tree. And in return, because like a good friendship should be, you give each other things, make each other happy. And the tree will give the fungus sugars, because that's one thing it can't make for itself. But the fungus, the mushroom, will give back in return loads of water and nutrients to help that tree grow big and healthy. So without that, lots of trees wouldn't be healthy so much as they would be without it. And so certain fungi, and these are called mycorrhizal, we've talked about that mycelium, create this symbiosis, this friendship that goes back and forth with the tree and the mushroom. For instance, this mushroom is the brown birch bolete. If I ever see that in a grassy field, there has to be a birch tree nearby, because it can only grow with the birch tree's help. Isn't that a wonderful thing? So there's a little mystery. I might find it in a woods and there's loads of trees, but somewhere in there's a birch tree hidden because he's growing with it. Fabulous, that. So that's what one type of fungi are, the type that grow in association with trees as their friends. Don't turn that yet, not ready for that. The second type are the recyclers. Really important role. More fungi than any of the other types are recyclers, and they are crucial, because if we didn't have fungi, let me put it this way, okay? We're in autumn time. What happens in autumn? All the leaves drop to the floor. But where do those leaves go? They might wash away, they might get smushed up by cars, but they don't just go away. We get millions upon millions of leaves drop. If fungi didn't recycle them and turn them back into soil, then leaves, when we step out the door in the morning and go to school, we'd have to swim to work and swim to school in leaves. We've got to here in leaves. They recycle all organic dead matter. So that's bones and feathers and trees that fall in the woods. What happens to dead trees? They have to be recycled. They just stay there forever. And fungi are so wonderful, not only getting rid of them, but creating new soil. They are soil magicians. Brilliant. And the last role, the third role that some fungi do, is the killer. Some are parasitic. They are parasites. Do you know what? I've got one. Hey, I didn't plan on this. This isn't planned. But I was out in the woods yesterday and I found one. And this is the honey fungus. Got a great name, hasn't it? Makes it sound appealing. Steady. Be careful. It doesn't taste or smell of honey. I'm not sure why it's called that. Nope. Just smells of damp earth. But this grows in huge fruiting numbers and it kills trees. It's a parasite. It's a killer. You might think that's a little bit mean, but it's the living world. All things have a cycle, and its job is to take out some of the dead and dying, some of the dying trees, some of the older trees to make way for new growth. And that's just the cycle of life, boys and girls. Elton John did a great song about it. It wasn't mushroom based, but the circle of life. Okay, the 3 roles of fungi. What's next? All right, time for a little bit of something to look at, not so much of my voice. This mushroom here, I'm sure lots of you are familiar with it either from books. It's in the Gruffalo. Pictures, may even have seen it in the woods. That likes to grow with birch trees. This is one of the friendship mushrooms. It's the fly agaric, the Amanita muscaria. Now, here's the thing. How does it get these spots? I'm going to show you a little trick. How the mushroom gets its spots. So, if you imagine, I'm going to use a balloon. Ooh, it's fun to use balloons. I'm going to blow it up a little bit. And you have to pretend that this is the start out, the little nub of a mushroom in the ground before it grows up nice and big and tall. And it starts out like this, like a little button in the ground. Now what we need is some rain. Let's get some rain on it. So it rains. All mushrooms need water. Okay. So we put that, and what I'm putting on here now is the universal veil. Obviously not now, this is a tissue. That's quite obvious. But in the fungal world, it will be covered in this, called the universal veil. A bit like a veil that a bride might wear at a wedding. So we've got this universal veil, and it needs a little bit more water, it's like, a bit more rain. And then what happens is it breaks through this when the time's right, when it's got all the energy it needs to break up, out, and into a mushroom shape. And this is how it gets those white spots. Fingers crossed, let's hope this works. Okay, I'll come in a bit closer. So as it grows and grows and grows over a few days, this is how it gets its spots. Are we ready? Oh, Mum, don't look away now. You've got to see the spots. I can see Mum not looking. Yeah, you've got to be looking now. Watch this. Here we go. How about, oh, I can see a silent round of applause. That's nice, isn't it? And that's how the mushroom gets its spots. It leaves behind these veil remnants. Oh, thanks, guys. That's what it's like for me, this silent applause. Isn't it wonderful? It's not my trick. Someone showed me this, but it's wonderful, isn't it? Really great. And that's how the mushroom gets its spots. It breaks through, but bits of the veil are left behind. Some mushrooms, that doesn't happen. That's what's wonderful. They're all so unique. All right. I could let go of it for a laugh. I will do. Okay, let's move on. What's next? Oh, halfway through already. Excuse me. Where do fungi grow? Fungi are all around us. I've explained that. There are beautiful places you can go where you're more likely to see fungi. But one of my favourite things about this as my hobby is that on the way to school, dropping my kids off at school or my own where I work, I might see fungi outside people's houses, grass verges, on roundabouts. They're all over the shop, wherever there's the opportunity in the habitat. But today we'll concentrate on some of the wonderful forests. In fact, we'll concentrate on the trees. There are 4 trees, you know, those friendship mushrooms that you want to know about if you're going to go out looking for mushrooms and toadstools. They're the same thing, okay, in particular, because they're the mycorrhizal ones. Here they are, these 4 trees. Remember this for life, boys and girls, mums and dads, and any other adults and carers in the room. Are you ready? It's birch, beech, pine and oak. Said birch, beech, pine and oak. Everybody now, birch, beech, pine and oak. Said birch, beech, pine and oak. That's the way to remember that. 4 of the best trees, the big top ones. There are others as well, but they're the best 4 where you're more likely to find fungi growing with them. They have more species that grow in association with these than any other. Brilliant. I'll tell you a rubbish one, sycamore. And sycamore's a beautiful tree, but rubbish. It doesn't have any fungi that grow with it. Now, I don't know how that survives the same if it hasn't got all the help from fungi. That's your homework there. Not really. I'm not going to give you homework. It's Sunday. Let's have a look. Meet the fungi. Let's have a look. Let's meet a few fungi. So I've already had out our brown birch bolete. I'll introduce, this is an interesting one, guys, actually, because on the underside here, if you can see, most mushrooms that you will meet, or a lot of them, and especially the type that you buy in supermarkets, have this feature underneath called gills, which I'm sure lots of you are familiar with. It's like flaps, a bit like a gill that a fish or a shark would have. Okay, they're flaps, and these are flaps, and this is where it keeps its spores, its seeds, and they're right now, because they're so tiny, there's hundreds dropping out, thousands dropping out right now into my bedroom. Sorry, Mrs. McKernan, sorry about that. But they're dropping out right now, but they're microscopic. Okay, they're very tiny, and that's where the seeds are kept. But on a bolete mushroom, my favourite family, my favourite genus, okay, it's actually a sponge under here, look, and it's very hard to show you, and you can press it. In fact, we'll tear a bit away to show you. And the sponge is made up of lots of tubes, like if you had a bunch of straws all together, paper ones, if you had a bunch all together and then stuck them like that, the surface is like a sponge, and the pores, and all the spores are in the pores. Never said that before, it works. I'll have to remember that. So that's a bolete. I'll show you this mushroom. Some white mushrooms, boys and girls, are very poisonous. Some red mushrooms are very poisonous. You will never know unless you're with an expert. So don't ever, let's do that now. Let's get that one out there, disclaimer. Some mushrooms can kill you, and that's obviously very serious, and I'm sure the adults in your life would have told you that. That doesn't mean we shouldn't love so many of them, because it's only a few, and I very rarely ever meet them. Lots of fungi would make you poorly too. The point is, don't ever put any in your mouth, okay? Or your fingers in your mouth after handling fungi. That's more about germs, but still, it's not a good idea to do so. So never ever do that. Just like you wouldn't put dirt or leaves or plants in your mouth. Don't do it with fungi either. This one is poisonous. Not deadly, wouldn't kill me, but it's not going to go anywhere near my mouth anyway. But I've picked it up to show you because it has an incredible smell. I wasn't sure what it was, but as soon as I smelt it, wow, it's sweet and fragrant. And I was with somebody yesterday who told me it smells of beetroot. And as soon as I passed it to Mrs. McKernan, she went, yes, beetroot. But I can't find that. But there we are, one that smells of beetroot. That's a tricholoma, that's a night fungus. Okay, while we're doing smells, I'll keep going. These guys are amazing. Oh, it's a shame that my camera's not wonderful because they're really sickly yellow. There's very few mushrooms. I'm not sure I can think of any. Possibly a wax cap. But these are another tricholoma, another night fungus. But they're also yellow on top and underneath. The stem, the gills, the cap, all yellow. Very few fungi are like that. But here's the big thing with this. These, oh, it's awful. Smell of rotten eggs. It's called the sulfur night. Not very common, but you'll know you find it if you find an all yellow mushroom and it smells like that. It's an incredible smell. I left one on the dashboard of the car yesterday, and this morning it really made the whole car smell of rotten eggs. So I'm really popular in my house right now, as you can imagine. And this is where we have to learn our skills because look, on top here, I've got another yellow-based mushroom, but it's white underneath. And now I've got the Russian, I've got brittle gills. And they're called that because their gills are brittle and they'll break away. This one's quite tight, but usually in a slightly older mushroom and with some, the gills will break away. A beautiful one, that's this yellow swamp brittle gill. Grows in swampy kind of areas with birch trees. No smell at all for me. Some crazy ones. Found this on the way home yesterday. Let's bring it in. Ooh, look at that. Does anyone know what that one is? It's a good one, isn't it? In fact, it was pure white yesterday, and today it's just starting to go already. A bit black at the edges, which means it's turning into ink. It's deliquescing, or it is to deliquesce. Oh, am I even saying that right? Should have practiced my science. Basically, it's turning into ink. This is the Shaggy Ink Cap, and there's this beautiful edge here, the lawyer's wig, they call it as well. Ask the adult to show you what a lawyer's wig looks like, and that's why it's also got that name. You can Google that one later. But it turns to ink, and these gills will start to leave an ink behind. And the monks in the old days used to write their scriptures, write books using the ink, and you could do the same. It stinks if you have it for more than a day, but let that melt, deliquesce into a glass, and you can brush and make paintings from the Shaggy Ink Cap. Ooh, only a couple of minutes left to go. What else have I got to cover? Oh, I'm doing all right. Here's a nice one. This is a different kind of fungus because it's not like a mushroom, can you see? This is an earth star. And on the way home from the supermarket yesterday, I called it's a corner just in the middle of, I live in quite a busy little town, but on the corner of a beech tree, I thought, I bet something will grow there one day. I'm keeping my eye on beech trees. And sure enough, an absolute ton of these. There must have been about 60. Now this is the cool bit for this. This doesn't have gills or pores to drop spores. This keeps them inside a bag. And when sticks, stones, rain, or little creatures will step on here, it fires its spores out. So some more spores from my bedroom. Watch closely, we'll see if we can see them. 3, 2, 1. yeah, you can definitely see them. I didn't know so many would come out. That's funny. That was actually hundreds of thousands of spores. And a big lumps landed on my laptop. I mean, that's probably 1 million spores just there. So one more time, just for fun. Can you see? Puffing away. Isn't that wonderful? That's the Earth Star. They're magnificent. This one's the coloured Earth Star because, hey, it's nice this. Yesterday it wasn't showing, but today it is because it's drying out. As it dries out, it leaves behind this colour, so it like sits in a saucer. What a wonderful mechanism. It's science there itself, isn't it? That it's learned how to get its spores out to be able to make new Earth stars in new places. Everything that's living wants to make more living things. And that's how the Earth stars developed to do it. Wonderful. Got to show you this. Oh, I'll show you this just because it's weird. Weird one. Ever met that one, guys? Look at that. You ever met that one? That is the white saddle. I want to say Helvella. Oh, Lacunosa. No, that's the grey saddle. Oh, I can't remember the Latin. Never mind. It's the white saddle and a beautiful. If you look closely, its stem is all contorted and made of these ridges and ribs and hollows. It's an amazing thing. I've done a video with a bit of Harry Potter mention on YouTube about the grey one of that. That's slightly less common. This is an amazing one. The Birch Polypore only grows on birch trees and has amazing medicinal properties. That doesn't mean I'm going to bite on it and eat it and I'll be healthy. That's not how it works. But actually, if you score the edge of this and cut, it peeled away. You can peel off the outer surface and it will stick to your finger and it can be used as a plaster look. It sticks on naturally, but it's a styptic, which means it actually stems any bleeding. And one year I was shown this and we're in the woods and a lady actually cut herself with a knife and we did it. We found a birch polypore, we stuck it on and it stops the bleeding. It's nature's plasters. Isn't that wonderful? That's the Birch Polypore. Wonderful stuff. I'm going to have to start to think about wrapping it up there. Oh, I've got other boletes as well. I've got this beautiful chunky, it looks filthy and dirty, doesn't it? But it's amazing. Oh, if I'd have thought I could cut that in half, it goes blue. Might have to shout to Mrs. McKernan. I might have to spoil her sourdough breakfast and ask her to shout and get me a knife. Listen now. Mrs. McKernan, can you bring me a knife, please? A sharp knife. Thank you. Medium pen knife. Thank you. Right. She's going to bring me a knife. She asked me if I wanted a small or a big one, so I might get a bread knife now. But I'll cut that in half because I'll show you something cool that goes on with some boletes, which is wonderful news. She's on her way, so we'll hang on for this big moment. I hope it works. It's been out of the ground for a couple of days, but it's got this beautiful red stipe. Yeah, that's a smasher. Oh no, I'll take the thin one, thanks. Oh, I've got my Uncle Colin's fish knife. Oh, Uncle Colin left us that when he died. I love this fish knife. So I'm going to cut through here carefully, boys and girls. Right through the middle. Oh, it's going blue already. Look at that. And it turns blue. It's a blue staining mushroom. And there's a chemical process that goes on when it meets the air, the oxidization. Fabulous that, isn't it? Blue staining mushroom. Some of the blue ones are very dangerous. As it happens, this isn't. The Scarlatina bolete. It's a beauty that, isn't it? Great stuff. Now, I'll show you one more thing, and then hopefully maybe I can answer any questions if anyone's got any. We'll try and make that happen. There's a competition that UK Fungus Day are running at the moment, the British Mycological Society, that's like the British mushroom people, and fungi. And they're running a competition for you to design your own fungi, boys and girls. And it couldn't be easier. What we did, because we know we can't go out and take photographs the same, because we designed this during lockdown, we thought, well, what can you do in your homes or your gardens? So you can just design your own fantasy fungus, a pretend one. You can give it a silly name like mine I did then with those guys. I've made one as an example, but the prizes are fantastic. You can win loads of art materials, felt tips, pencil crayons. You can win fungi guidebooks, a goodie bag. I think there's t-shirts in there. So I can't lift this up because it'll all fall down. So I'll bring you to the mushroom. I'll bring Mohammed to the mountain. Here we go. Excuse the wardrobe. Can you see there? Can you see that enough? I've made that just using a flask. That's a flask look. And I'm going to call this, what should I call this? The Chrome Cap Ironmonger. And I bent some old forks, don't worry, don't go bending your best cutlery in the house. So I just use an old tray and I've done like a silver theme. I put some magnets on, look like the spots, the spots, the remnants of the universal veil. But you can do anything. So that's my one, that's my entry. I'm not really entering it. That would be ridiculous. You guys need to enter it. But you can do anything. You could get some rubbish packets from your bin. You could use food and arrange it into some kind of crazy fungus shape. You can do anything you want. Oh, I can see someone's got something there. What have they got? Flyer Garrick there. I can see that. That's a good one, isn't it? Oh, that's brilliant. Look at that. Is that made? You're such a tiny window. That looks wonderful. That's in Rachel Davies' family. Very good. You should be very proud of it if anyone else can see that. Wonderful Flyer Garrick. So yeah, make your own fungus. You can use clothes. Get all your clothes on the floor, make a big shape, whatever you want. You can do something in the garden. You can make up your own and then give it a name. Tell us what it does, where it lives. Take a photo and send it off to us. There's some wonderful judges. Some of the best mycologists, mushroom people in the country are the judges. We've got artists and we've got me as well. So mostly good. So take a photo, do it, go for it, because you might win. The details are on the UK Fungus Day website. If you go to competition, it's all in there, okay? You'll need an adult to help you, just sign the form. Great. Well, that ends it for today. Thanks for listening, guys. I will mention at 12 o'clock, I'm doing a garden foray, a fungi identification thing. So if anyone has any fungi or want to go out for an hour and find some, you can still sign on. There's some tickets available still for that. If you go to the UK Fungus Day website, and you can hold up your fungi and we'll try and identify them for you. Myself and a proper expert from the BMS are going to try and look at your fungi and identify them. So if you've got anything in your garden or you want to go for a little walk for half an hour, at 12 o'clock today, we'll be doing an identification thing. What's in your garden? But you're allowed to go for a walk. That's okay. Right. I'll just see if there's any questions, and then I'll say thanks and wave and go bye. Are there any questions, anybody? I don't know how we'll do this. I think we've got like a facilitator, someone who's on the keyboard helping out. Nathan, anybody got a question?
Hello there. Hi. I mean, wasn't that fantastic, everyone? Wasn't that amazing? If you've got any questions, if you can put them in the chat, and what I'll do is I'll read them out. So put your name and put your question in the chat, and I can read them out to Ali.
Brilliant. Right. If you've got a question, type it in, and Nathan will then, because I can't see your chat bar, but Nathan can, and he'll tell me. He'll tell me what your questions are. So I'll wait for those to come in. I love, what have you made that flyer? I've got a question. Go on, Nathan.
I've been looking at, we've got the Leah Lawson family have been drawing fungi on their paper. It's been absolutely fantastic.
I love a drawing, love a sketch.
Chrissy Gladwin's family has a wonderful light up Amanita muscaria. It's a fly agaric, which is beautiful.
Brilliant.
We've got a book as well. We've got a fantastic fly agaric face from the GSF family. Super. We've got a question. It's from the Ellie Larkin family.
Yes.
Which says, my favourite name is a destroying angel.
Ooh.
Have you ever seen one?
Oh, no. No. So we're on level pegging. I've been doing this for 10 years now, and you're even with me, because I've never met one yet either, presuming that you haven't. It's one of my favourite names too, because it's obviously one of the few deadly poisonous mushrooms in our country. I thought I found one, and still to this day it might have been, but something tells me it was slightly green, my one, which meant it was probably the false death cap instead. So no is the answer, and yes, I agree, it's a great name. Let's have a look. Leah Lawson's been making notes too. That's great news, guys. I like you've made notes.
We've got the Salem family asked, is the blue Scarlatina bolly edible?
Well, as it happens, it's not something I talk about often, because bluing, if there were some rules to edibility, then you would stay away from any bolete that stains blue, because you've got the one poisonous, potentially deadly one, which was the devil's bolete. Great name. But as it happens, this bluing bolete is edible. So to answer your question, this is where you've got to be very careful. One, because other bluing ones are very poisonous, and some are very bitter, and the rest of it, the range. But the Scarlatina is, but it needs a very thorough cooking, or else you can be poorly from it. It'll give you an upset stomach. So yes, the blue mushroom is actually an edible mushroom. There you go.
Fantastic. We've got Claire asks, how many different types of fungi are there?
Oh, that's a good question. You guys have got some great questions. In Britain, there's estimated 16,000 types, which means I'll never see them in my lifetime. This is why this is one of the best hobbies in the world, because for the rest of my life, every year without fail, and I mean this, and I meet thousands of fungi, I still meet new ones every year, and that makes it such an exciting hobby. So there's thousands upon thousands in this country, and in the world there's estimated to be millions. And actually we only know this many. If this is how many fungi in the world, we only even know this many, have given them a name. The rest we know must be there, but we don't even understand or know them yet. So actually over 1 million is the answer in the world. But thousands to choose from here in the UK.
Wonderful. Wow, that's a huge number.
Yes, it is. Do you know, Nathan, how many there are in the world, roughly?
Nobody knows. It's
yeah, millions. That's a good answer.
People guess anywhere from 500,000 to 20 million.
So listen, the new species are found every year. And if you guys grow up to be mycologists, you might be people who find the first ever mushroom and give it a name in science. You might be the first to find a fungus and say, this is new to the world, to science. No one's ever realized what this is. And that happens every year, guys. It could be you. Okay. Anything else left?
Oh, we've got, I think we'll do these questions and we'll go. There's a couple left. Georgie asks, why is a stinkhorn so smelly?
Oh, that's a good question. Is it Georgie, did you say?
Yes.
Brilliant question, Georgie. Really good question. Well, the stinkhorn is smelly on purpose. Nearly everything's for a reason in this life, I think, but especially with fungi, they have a purpose. That smell is really pooey if you've smelt it, and a bit like rotting meat and just not very nice. I say that, I quite like it because it's a little bit sweet. But its the job is to attract flies, because flies love to sit on poo, because that's the place they like to go to feed and lay eggs, I think. So what they do is think, oh, great, another place where I can feed and lay eggs. So when they land on it and they feed away on something called the gleba. I've even got that as a word for you. How about that? They land on it, but what happens is when the flies fly off, some of that sticky mess, the gleba, sticks to the feet. And then they go off and they land in other places and they spread the spores, the seeds of that stinkhorn mushroom. Isn't that clever? So it smells to attract the flies and other creatures. There are other little insects as well that will feed on it. Great question, Georgie.
We've got Cassia asks, what's the biggest mushroom?
Oh, the biggest mushroom, the biggest actual one that you can find is a giant puffball. And I sometimes find them and they're like footballs. I've just had a friend say, I've got an identification guide for puffballs. If it flies away, it's a swan. If it's got mitre written on the side, it's a football. If not, it's a giant puffball, because they can easily look like those things in a field. Big old things, and sometimes they can grow huge. And I've seen pictures online in America where they're nearly a metre wide. Probably that's wider than that, wider than the screen, a metre wide. So they're huge. The actual fruit body is a giant puffball, but there's actually underground, when it's the network, there's one in America which is miles and miles wide. The honey fungus that I held up, this one here, is actually the largest fungus in the world, and it grows in America. And because it connects up, they reckon that there's a bunch over here and a bunch in that town, but actually they're connected underground. Isn't that amazing? Okay. Last couple of questions, Nathan, because I know you've got to get ready for the next session.
Yeah, we've got two more questions, and they're good ones. Sophia asks, have you ever found a truffle? And also notes that their dog found one.
Oh, you got a good dog. What kind of dog is it? He must have a good nose. I mean, dogs do have good noses. Hey, how wonderful to find a truffle. Did you give it a smell? Because sometimes if you scratch them or break them open, they have a very strong perfume smell. Now, I have found a truffle. There aren't many, the edible truffles that the adults in your life might know about, and you might see on MasterChef where they shave a bit on, that are very expensive. They only really grow down south in the UK because they need that warmer climate, and they need calcareous soil. They need a certain type of soil. But we do get loads and loads of types of truffle. And I found some just growing near me under an oak tree, because there was this incredible thing growing out the top of it that parasites the truffle. But it wasn't an edible one, but it did smell quite cool. And I've even found them in a Tesco car park with a wonderful friend and mentor that taught me all about mushrooms, Yes Belander. And he said, under these hornbeams, I think we've got a chance. So we did a little digging and we found truffles in a Tesco car park. How about that? Great question.
And then the last question we've just got, Evan has said, thanks, Sally, for my shout out. Love this, from Evan. And our last question is from Coach, I'm going to mess this up, Coachahans. I'm sorry if I've messed that name up. But they ask, what kind of fungi makes blue cheese?
Oh, no! You're finishing with something I can't answer. You got me on the last one.
This was on the BMS quiz. This was on the BMS quiz on Friday.
Oh, was it? So we had a quiz, guys. It's brilliant. And do you remember the answer, Nathan, if you were listening carefully?
Oh, I do. It's a penicillium. It's Penicillium roqueforti.
Roqueforti, like Roquefort.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah, I see. Hey, guys, we're all here to learn. I'm going away with that one. Get that in your notes. Brilliant question. You got me at the last minute, but we could answer. Good teamwork. Thanks, Nathan, the voice from above. That's wonderful. And if that's it then, Nathan, shall I say goodbye?
I think we should. Thank you, Ali. I think everyone, big thanks to Ali for doing this, and I'll let you say goodbye.
Brilliant, guys. Thank you so very much for taking the time. It's Sunday morning. It's a lovely day if you want to get out there. So sit in front of your screens. I appreciate. Thanks, guys. Bye. Bye. Oh, you put your mics on. Bye, everyone. Bye. It's great. Okay.